If Texas were a movie right now, it would be a split-screen drama. On one side, booming suburbs sprouting new subdivisions faster than you can say, hard hat selfie. On the other, tiny towns where the high school stadium lights dim a little earlier each fall and the grocery store's open sign starts looking decorative. That isn't just nostalgia, it's a pattern. While Texas added millions overall, the growth has been extremely uneven. Major metros and suburbs soaked up most newcomers, while many rural counties and smaller cities quietly lost population, tax revenue, and the economic lifeline that keeps local hospitals, schools, and shops alive. The upshot? Places that were once small but vibrant now look worryingly, well, ghost townish. Taking in account the census, Texas Demographic Center estimates, local reporting, and the current housing indicators, these 10 Texas cities apparently look sliding fast toward modern ghost town status. If you're wondering what's behind it, and what 2026 looks like if current trends hold, stay with me till the very end. I'll get to the depth of it. The only thing, however, that can make you rethink is the grim situation these cities are dealing with in the present time. Or maybe you'll stick, and I know you will, because you never know what's coming up in the new year. Let's see if the wish list is answered, or stays a list until we take a look at it again in the months to come. At number 10 is Post, Garza County. Post, a modest town tucked in Garza County, lands at number 10 on the list. And while it hasn't completely fallen off the map, the warning lights are flashing. Recent census and county estimates reveal that Garza County has seen a measurable population decline between 2022 and 2023, and Post's own figures reflect that downward shift. Once a sturdy agricultural hub with a close-knit community, Post now finds itself caught in the familiar rural spiral. Fewer local jobs, fewer young families, and fewer customers to keep small businesses alive. The gradual drop in residents drains the tax base, making it harder to fund schools and maintain infrastructure. The housing market, predictably, is softening. As demand drops, homes sit longer on the market, and property values stagnate. Unless a fresh source of employment or investment emerges, 2026 could bring more empty storefronts along Main Street and even tighter budgets for local services. Number 9. Aspermont, Stonewall County. Tiny Aspermont, the seat of Stonewall County, illustrates just how fragile small-town survival has become. With a population hovering under 1,000 and trending downward, even a few dozen families moving away can tip the scales. Census estimates this year confirm that the decline hasn't slowed, and local reports suggest school enrollment and retail activity have followed suit. The town's economy remains heavily dependent on agriculture and county administration, leaving few opportunities for young residents who increasingly head for Lubbock, Abilene, or Dallas in search of stability. Every departure leaves behind another vacant house and one less tax-paying household. The result is a shrinking local budget and an overworked public sector struggling to provide the same level of service with fewer hands on deck. If this pattern continues into 2026, Aspermont risks slipping into what some call the zombie town stage, not fully abandoned, but with too little vitality to sustain itself. Number 8. Monahans, Ward Juge Winkler County. Monahans, once buoyed by West Texas oil money, finds itself on the wrong side of the boom-bust cycle. Census-based population trackers put the city's population in the mid-7,000s, down from early 2020's peaks, and that steady erosion hints at something deeper than just temporary migration. In an economy built around the energy sector, job availability rises and falls with commodity prices, and when oil contracts dry up, so do paychecks. The younger workforce, which once chased lucrative oilfield jobs, is now heading elsewhere for more stable employment. The ripple effects are everywhere: local diners closing early, housing prices flattening, and new construction grinding to a halt. Monahans is still standing, but if 2026 brings another energy downturn, or if oil demand remains soft, this city could see another wave of vacancies and a further slide into economic stagnation. The town's future now depends on diversifying beyond oil. A tall order, but not an impossible one. Number 7. Pecos, Reeves County. Once a proud symbol of the West Texas boom, Pecos has stumbled into decline at a rate few anticipated. Reeves County's overall population has fallen in recent estimates, and Pecos, its largest city, is feeling the sting. The town's dependence on oil, transport, and agricultural services has made it dangerously vulnerable to economic swings. As energy projects slowed and costs of living crept higher, families began relocating to Midland, Odessa, and beyond. The visible signs of stress are unmistakable: shuttered businesses, underfunded schools, and houses sitting on the market for months without offers. Home ownership is turning from a dream into a burden for many residents, and local officials admit they're struggling to maintain infrastructure with fewer taxpayers. The 2026 projection looks grim. Unless new industries move in, Pecos could see its population fall below a critical threshold where recovery becomes nearly impossible. The irony? It's still surrounded by wide-open land that once symbolized promise, now echoing mostly with silence. Number 6. Muleshoe, Bailey County. Muleshoe, a once vibrant hub in Bailey County, has quietly joined the list of shrinking Texas towns. The city, which used to hover comfortably around 5,000 residents, has seen that number slide downward year after year over the last 5 years. According to Texas Demographic Center data and regional reporting, this isn't just a statistical blip, it's a steady trend fueled by economic consolidation. Mechanized agriculture has cut labor needs, forcing families to seek jobs in Lubbock or Amarillo. Local shops, once the heart of the community, have either shut down or shifted online to chase customers who are no longer local. Aging infrastructure, fewer young families, and declining birth rates are all compounding the issue. The housing market here tells a clear story: older homes that aren't worth rehabbing, rising vacancy rates, and few new buyers. Without strategic investment in broadband and small business development, Muleshoe could be looking at another 2 to 3% population loss by 2026, a number that might not sound big, but feels devastating on the ground. Number 5. Littlefield, Lamb County. Littlefield, northwest of Lubbock, is another small Texas city where time seems to be standing still, and not in a good way. Its population has declined roughly 4 to 5% in the last semi-decade, according to post-census estimates. The local economy is caught in the same rural squeeze seen across the High Plains. Manufacturing and farming jobs have dried up, and while the cost of living remains low, so do wages. Young adults who leave for college rarely come back, leaving an older, shrinking population behind. As spending power declines, local stores struggle to keep their doors open, and the town's housing market follows suit. More listings, fewer buyers, and longer closing times. The challenge is circular. Fewer jobs lead to fewer residents lead to weaker services, and weaker services make it harder to attract new residents. If Littlefield doesn't attract some fresh investment, or at least ride the wave of remote work migration, the coming year will likely bring more of the same, a quiet decline disguised by stubborn optimism. Number 4. Floydada, Floyd County. Floydada, known for its rich farming history, has been shedding residents for years, and the pace is quickening. Once a close-knit town of over 3,000, it now sits closer to 2,500, according to recent estimates, a nearly 10% drop since the pandemic. The causes are painfully predictable. The rise of large-scale agriculture has reduced labor demand, schools have merged or downsized, and small-town amenities have dwindled to the point where even simple conveniences require a long drive. The aging population isn't being replaced by younger generations, and the local economy hasn't found a way to reinvent itself. Housing prices remain low, but that's not the win it appears to be. Low demand means older homes often sit vacant or fall into disrepair. If these trends persist next year, Floydada could find itself facing a demographic cliff that's hard to climb back from. Without broadband expansion or incentives for remote workers, the town's charm may soon be overshadowed by its emptiness. Number 3. Plainview, Hale County. Plainview, larger than most towns on this list, serves as a regional anchor for Hale County, or at least it used to. With a population that slipped from around 20,000 in post-pandemic era to the high teens in the recent estimates, the decline here carries weight far beyond city limits. Plainview's troubles mirror those of many mid-sized towns across Texas. It's losing its workforce to larger metro areas, its industries are shrinking, and its once bustling downtown is fighting to stay relevant. The agricultural sector no longer provides stable employment, and local healthcare and education institutions are consolidating into nearby cities. As spending power erodes, Plainview's housing market is softening, with fewer buyers and more listings sitting idle. For a town that once prided itself on stability, the trend is unsettling. The 2026 outlook is cautious at best. Unless a major employer steps in or new industries emerge, Plainview's slow leak could turn into a steady drain, taking the surrounding region down with it. Number 2. A wider snapshot, shrinking county seats and silent decline. Before naming the top spot, it's worth acknowledging that these 10 towns represent a much broader pattern. According to the Texas Demographic Center, more than 75 counties in the state lost population in 12 months until 2023, most of them rural. These aren't dramatic collapses. They're slow leaks. A family moves away here, a grocery store closes there, a high school football team shrinks from 40 players to 22. The signs are small, but they add up. Rural Texas is quietly hollowing out, not through disaster, but through inattention. The irony is that this happens even as urban areas drown in housing demand and skyrocketing prices. If policymakers don't act soon, the 2026 housing crisis won't just be about affordability. It'll be about imbalance. Some towns will have too many empty homes, while others can't build fast enough to meet demand. More than the housing market, it looks like a slow-motion implosion. And now, number 1. Pecos, Reeves County, the most precarious. At the top of the list sits Pecos, and not in a good way. This West Texas town, once flush with oil money and promise, is now the clearest example of decline. The population has dropped sharply since COVID, according to the latest census and regional estimates, and the Reeves County as a whole is mirroring that fall. The causes are as interconnected as they are relentless: dependence on oil and gas, rising living costs, shrinking income levels, and a vanishing middle class. Local schools are underfunded, infrastructure projects are delayed, and businesses that once thrived on energy sector workers are struggling to keep the lights on. The housing market paints an even darker picture: an increasing number of foreclosures and distressed properties, homes sitting vacant for months, and investors pulling out entirely. If nothing changes, 2026 could see Pecos's vacancy rate jump significantly, with more homes lost to abandonment or repossession. It's the textbook case of a boomtown gone bust, where yesterday's prosperity became today's liability. So why these towns are fading? Each of these towns tells a different story, but the underlying script is the same. Economic dependence on a single industry leaves communities vulnerable when that sector stumbles. Young people continue to leave for cities with more opportunity, leaving behind an aging population that can't sustain local economies. Consolidation of schools, hospitals, and essential services means residents have to travel farther for basic needs, further eroding small-town appeal. And as populations shrink, housing demand drops, leading to more vacancies and foreclosures, a pattern that feeds on itself. Infrastructure gaps, like unreliable broadband or limited healthcare access, make it hard to attract new businesses or remote workers who could revive these towns. Together, these factors create a perfect storm of economic and demographic decay. It's not that people don't love small-town Texas anymore. It's that small-town Texas is making it too hard to stay. Here's a recap on the current situation and 2026 outlook. The numbers are sobering. According to the U.S. Census Bureau's vintage estimates and Texas Demographic Center projections, roughly one-third of Texas counties experienced population decline in the last estimated period. Meanwhile, urban and suburban regions, especially those around Austin, Dallas-Fort Worth, and Houston, continue to absorb nearly all the state's growth. Foreclosure data from ATTOM and other real estate trackers show an uptick across Texas through last year. This continues in 2025, mirroring national trends driven by higher mortgage rates and inflation. The divide between growing and shrinking communities is widening. Looking ahead to 2026, projections suggest further population stagnation in towns that haven't diversified their economies or attracted new industries. Without intervention, expect more for sale signs, more vacant houses, and smaller school enrollments. The state's own demographic models make it clear, without sustained in-migration or economic revitalization, many small Texas cities could lose another 3 to 5% of their populations by 2026, a rate that might sound modest but feels catastrophic locally. Modern ghost towns aren't what you think. When we say ghost town, we're not talking about tumbleweeds and boarded saloons. Modern ghost towns still have residents, they just lack vitality. The hardware store is still open, but only on weekends. The cafe serves lunch to a handful of retirees instead of a bustling crowd. Kids still play sports, but now they're joined with another town's team because there aren't enough players. The Texas Tribune has documented this transformation across dozens of rural counties, towns that are technically alive but economically and socially fragile. The danger isn't immediate abandonment, it's slow erosion. It's a death by 1,000 budget cuts, a community fading not with a bang, but with the quiet sigh of people moving away one family at a time. So how Texas can stop the bleeding? If there's hope, and there is, it lies in smart, targeted investment rather than nostalgia. Rural economic diversification grants can attract small manufacturing or renewable energy projects that provide stable jobs. Expanding broadband access could make remote work realistic, bringing digital nomads and second-income earners back to small towns. Keeping hospitals and schools local, even through partnerships or satellite campuses, can stabilize population. Incentives for home renovation can turn decaying housing stock into opportunity instead of eyesore. And regional collaboration, towns pooling resources instead of competing, can stretch limited funds further. The state government knows this. The Texas Demographic Center and Texas Tribune both highlight these measures as realistic paths to revival. The problem isn't ignorance, it's inertia. So as we move into the last couple of minutes, here's my honest, concluding remark. Texas is vast enough to host booming suburbs and fading ghost towns at the same time, which is impressive in a tragic sort of way. On one side, there's a bidding war for $600,000 condos near Austin. On the other, a two-story home in Post sits unsold for $40,000. The contrast would be funny if it weren't such a perfect metaphor for modern America, a state growing by millions while quietly losing its soul in the middle. The truth is simple. Texas doesn't have a population problem. It has a distribution problem. The housing crisis isn't just about prices in Austin or Dallas. It's also about empty streets in Muleshoe and shuttered schools in Floydada. The next 2 years will be critical. 2026 could either mark the point where rural Texas begins to rebuild, or the year we officially start calling some of these places as former towns. Either way, the clock is ticking. And if you're watching this from a thriving Texas city, maybe it's time to look west, not for nostalgia, but for opportunity. After all, every ghost town was once someone's dream, and there's still time to bring a few of them back to life. So what do you make of it? Do share your comments and opinions below. And don't forget to like and share.